How are you? Okay, we're going to do some work, so I hope you are ready to write some things out. So raise your hands. How many of you feel like you have a really good vision on your life and where you're going? Okay, keep your hands up for me. If I were to ask you, do you have it in writing in every area of your life? Keep them up if you do. Like if I came up to you and said, I want to see on paper what your vision is and how far you're going. Okay, third question. If I were to ask you, do you have dates and a timeline on those visions to come into fruition for you? How many of you would tell me you have dates on things?
I have to change the dates because...
It's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I've changed a few times.
It's all right. I've had to do that too. So here's my question about that, you guys. Thank you for playing with me. Is a lot of times when I've asked people, do you feel like you have a vision for your life? They tell me, yes, I do. And then if I dive a little bit deeper and say, do you have it in writing in every area of your life? Most people tell me, well, I kind of got something going on, but I don't really have it like really written out. And most especially when I ask people, do you have dates and timelines on those things that you want to create? I love vision boards, you guys. How many of you guys have beautiful vision boards? Yeah, I love them. I've always had them. But what I find is that most people have the pretty pictures, but they don't have any target dates on anything. So what's happening is the vision board is now becoming your someday plan, right? Someday this will happen. Someday I'm going to get that car. Someday I'm going to quit my job so I can be home with my kids, all the things, right? But they don't have it in writing so that they can actually reverse engineer a plan to put into action, right? And why do you think, and I love this to be interactive, why do you think most people don't go, you guys, from beautiful vision board to actually having a written game plan? Shout out some words to me. Fear. Don't believe it. Fear of rejection. What else? Don't know how to get there. Yeah, right? Thank you. Accountability. Anybody kind of get choked up when I say timelines and dates on things? Yeah, I think most people do. I've done a lot of these workshops, you guys, and I'm going to share my story with you. And every time I talk about taking it from here onto paper with dates is when I usually see the big lump in the throat happen for most people. They kind of go, oh, because now you've got to be accountable, right? So I'm known as a vision expert, and the reason I'm known for that is because I have worked not only on my own personal vision for many, many years, but I've now done this professionally for a long time. I've officially been a speaker for about 12 years now. And I have not only the personal professional experience, but I have a gift for seeing into people's visions when they tell them to me and helping them execute it on the other side. And I also have a gift, probably because I've been doing this unofficially for over 30 years with a lot of people. I can read between the lines and see where they're really getting stuck and uncover that for people. Would that be helpful? Yeah. Okay, so I was about 28 years old. This was the late 80s when I was doing what we were all told to do. I met my husband in high school, and we went off to college together, and this was the early 80s, and we did what we were told to do. Get the good degree, get the good job. We got married right out of college, and we went to college in Oklahoma, but we're from Colorado, so we moved back to Colorado to be near our family and start our careers. My husband did corporate sales really well, very successfully. I was changing jobs every 2 years. Anybody relate to that? You're all entrepreneurs, you probably know why. I didn't fit the 9-to-5 role really well. I'm very hardworking and I'm very disciplined. I just didn't like being told when I was gonna work, how many weeks off a year I got, it wasn't working. And it was kind of funny because in those years, all of our friends were doing what we were told to do. Get the good job, work up the ranks, right? And everybody thought I was nuts, including my family members are like, why can't you make this work? Why can't you be happy? And I kept thinking, okay, it's gotta be the next job. Maybe the next job is where I'm gonna figure it out. Well, in job number 3, they had a woman come and speak to us, kind of like a staff development kind of thing. And I was just enamored with this woman. She was so inspiring. And I remember just sitting there and looking at her thinking, I want to do that. And so I asked her if she would be a mentor of mine. And so I took her to lunch, and she said something that I have never forgotten. I've repeated it many times. She was the first person in my life that said, Carey, You can create your life to look like however you want it to be. You just have to get super clear on what that is. I'm like, wow, okay. So I took a day off of work, and with a legal pad of paper, because this again was like 1980, whatever, I got really clear. And I wrote out in great detail everything I wanted my life to look like. The relationship with my husband, where we were living, how we were spending our time. We loved to travel, so I put a lot of travel in there. I knew that we were gonna have kids pretty soon, so I wrote a lot about the kind of mom I wanted to be, the relationship I wanted to have with my kids. And I knew for certain that I wanted to have the opportunity to work from home while we had our kids, make residual income, right? So I'd had my freedom, earn a lot of trips, because remember I just said travel, all about the travel, right? But I didn't know the vehicle to do this in, all right? Anybody in this room feel like you have a hard time writing your vision and working on your vision because you need the written path in front of you? How many of you need the how? Only a couple of you? All right, so I didn't know, you guys, so I wrote a lot of ideas. I wrote out, that I thought I might be a marketing and advertising consultant because that was my background. And I did that for about a half a day. And then I wrote things like, it would be really fun to be inside a company with a lot of female leaders, maybe in health and wellness, maybe in skincare, question mark. All these were question marks, right? All down the legal pad of paper. And on the last line of one of those sheets, I wrote that someday I wanted to teach other people about visioning and goal setting. Bam, you guys, right out of my head for the very first time. Have no idea where that came from. Now I know where it came from, but it was a pivotal day for me. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was so clear. Not knowing then what we all know now, and we've used this word many times today, I was manifesting what was about to come. I was getting really aligned with God's will, right? So fast forward a few years, we had our son Cole, and I was 5 months pregnant with my daughter too. My son was, Cole was 2, I was 5 months pregnant with my daughter. And I got a phone call from one of my girlfriends going, hey, guess what we're doing next Wednesday? You're coming to my house, and we're gonna do a skincare party with this company called Arbonne. Is anybody familiar with it? Yep, okay. So I'm like, whatever, I'll go, it'll be fun, we'll drink some wine, hang out. Well, I loved the product so much. My girlfriend Mary kept saying to me, this is what you've been talking about. This is the thing you've been talking about. In the late 80s, I don't know if you guys have been around enough for that to know this, but the network marketing industry, people were like, you're gonna quit your job? You have a business degree and you're gonna wanna go sell lipstick? I mean, this was a big fat no-no, right? So it was a big leap for me because even my husband was not a fan. And so I thought a lot about it. It took me 6 months to decide what to do with this information that was in front of me. Loving the product, I was already telling everybody about it. I loved, the industry already. And so one day the president and the founder of the company came to Denver, and in a room full of about 30 people cast this big vision. And I went, check, 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 check. Checked all the boxes. Residual income, stay at home, earn the trips, female leadership. It was like God was like handing it to me going, here's what you asked for. So 5 months pregnant, I jumped in and jumped all in. Like I went in and I sought out the one and only Mercedes driving VP in Arbonne in the state of Colorado at the time. And I said, show me what I need to do to get to the top. I'm not in this to play. I want a team, I want to be a leader, I want to affect change, I want to be a big part of the company, I want the car. I had a really beautiful little convertible Mercedes, my first one, you guys. And she told me the plan. She said, here's your game plan. Here's the math. Here's a proven system we have that works. If you follow the system consistently and follow the math I'm telling you, you will get to the top. And so I was like, great. And what she told me, like any business, you guys, is I had to get in front of X number of people every day, X number of people every week, so that by the end of the month, I had shared Arbonne with a certain number of people. Back then it was 40 to 60 people, so that I could build a team. I was looking for 2 people every month that wanted to go to the top with me. Move the product, of course, and keep my calendar booked. Here's my second lesson I learned out of this. I said to her, okay, here's the deal. I'm 5 months pregnant with this baby, and I'm still working full-time, and I'm miserable. I want my son at a daycare. She said, okay, well, how much money do you need to make? And at that moment in time, you guys, I only needed to make about $1,000 a month, right? Because again, this was late 80s. And also, I knew that because once we got our son out of daycare, that was another $500 back that we weren't spending. She said, all right, if that's your target, there's a point I'm making here. When do you need to be there? And I said, I want this before this baby comes. She said, you have 90 days to get to the first rank in the company. You'll be making that amount. All right? Here's my point. I knew how much I needed to make by a certain time frame. And the other thing I knew is I knew exactly what the proven successful activity was to get there. I was not messing around. And third big thing, my target date was non-negotiable. That baby was coming, right? I couldn't change that. So I see people, well, they'll set dates and they'll kind of go, well, I'd kind of like to make $100,000 this year, but I don't really know the system and I don't really know, the how, and we get distracted really easily, and it's negotiable. So when things happen in your life, which it does, and we get distracted, we get pushed off course, and we are inconsistent in our life and our business, you guys, we don't move the needle forward, and it's too easy at the end of every month to go, I'll do it next month. I've coached so many service-based entrepreneurs, a big chunk of them who are speakers and coaches, and I see them every month. I would meet with them live in a group coaching I used to do, and they would tell me their target goal for the month. And then they would come back the next month, and they'd all be like, the walk of shame as I walked. What happened? Well, this happened, and that happened, and by the middle of the month, I knew I wasn't going to hit it, so I just decided I'll do it next month. Does this resonate with anybody? Yeah. Right? So I learned. So first thing I learned, don't need to know the how, write the vision, the how shows up. I promise you. It's happened for all of my clients. Can I have my club soda, Andrea? Do you mind handing me that? Second thing I learned was that I had to have dates that were non-negotiable. I couldn't move them. Thank you, my dear. And I've been coaching Andrea, by the way. She's awesome, isn't she? Yeah. Yes. So non-negotiable dates. The next non-negotiable date for us was that we now knew we wanted to put our kids into private school when they were going to start school. So guess what? I had 3 years to get to the Mercedes driving rank in the company so that I could help my husband with this, right? This investment. So, how many of you guys have already had an aha moment so far from what I've said? What did you hear me say?
You can write the vision, but the how will come if you write the vision.
Yep, exactly. Who else? Aha moment, yes.
Mercedes.
Whatever car you want. So, going back to the Mercedes, I had a picture on my vision board of a 350 CLK white convertible. They had to be white. On my vision board for 7 years. Okay? And going back to somebody who said they've got a date, but they keep moving it. Okay, so I set the date to get that Mercedes within the first 18 months in the company, and I was this close. And in 1 month, all three of my key leaders quit. Just walked. And I will humbly say, I had a lot to do with that, right? And then I thought, okay, do I really want this? How many of you guys start questioning things when things don't go the way you think? Do I really want this? How bad do I want this? I went through a whole pity party for like a month. I don't need to do this. And my husband at this point was making really good money and begging me not to do it. So it was a real test for me, right, of how bad do I want it. And one day I got a call from the VP, my VP up the line for me saying, what happened? I said, well, I'll quit. And I don't think I'm a good leader and I can't do this. My husband's right, I don't need to do, And she said one sentence to me, she said, okay, here's the deal. You're either gonna let these people take you down or you're gonna get pissed off and do something about it. What are you gonna do? And I was like, I'll call you back later. Boom, right? On it. I had a vision, you guys, that was so much bigger than losing 3 people on my team, right? It was just, it's always been bigger than whatever walls I've been facing. So, as I was raising my kids, I went to the top rank in the company. Had a large team of people, earned a lot of trips, the residual income, all the things. Fabulous life. And the one thing I had to teach all my teammates when they joined my team was, guess what? They had to have a really big vision, you guys. Because in that time frame, well, still, it's hard to be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of stuff you got to go through and a lot of personal growth. So I had to teach them. I had to sit them down the first month and say, you better have a really big why, because I'm going to tell you, you're going to want to quit in the first week. So I created a curriculum for all of them. So when my husband and I became empty nesters, I decided, okay, what if I started doing this publicly? Like, what if I started I created some curriculum and I just started, doing this. So I wrote my curriculum. It's called Vision is Victory. And it's now known for what I'm known for. It's my tagline for all my speeches. It's the title of my first book, which I'm going to give you guys as a freebie today. It's everything I do. And I started teaching it. I think 8 people came to my first workshop. It's probably my 8 best girlfriends, right, just came to support me. But they loved it. And so I started getting asked to speak at like little luncheons here and there and, small groups. So I started doing my own workshops. And out of the workshops, I would move people into coaching with me. And Brandon's going to be doing such an amazing job with you guys to understand how to create your offer and what it looks like and how to set your targets. But I just started learning, and I had a business coach that I hired, very first business coach, who taught me all the math and the numbers behind speaking and coaching. And I was doing really, really well with it. But unfortunately, on July 2nd, 2014, I lost my husband to suicide. Wall. Remember, I told you guys, there's stuff that are going to put you off course. There's a lot of stuff. There's the daily stuff, right? The dog throws up on the couch, the kids are sick, whatever. But how many of you guys have been through some super big stuff, right? So it was a test. I had all these clients. My coaching business had just exponential overnight. And I think all my clients were looking at me going, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to run with this because this is where I'm supposed to be. So what I learned at that moment, you guys, that this whole time that I thought teaching vision to people was about teaching them how to make money, it was so not about that. It was about helping people have vision so that they could have hope in their life. And so I now saw, okay, this was the bigger mission God had involved with, and it was putting in me on the day that I wrote my vision. Do you guys get that?
Yes.
Are you at a place now you're understanding that what you're doing, and you've heard this how many times today, it's not about you. Everything you're doing is about the impact and the legacy that you want to leave, right? All right, so I ran with that. My son at the time had just graduated from college and accepted a job in Arizona. So I went to Arizona with him to get out of Colorado. And then my daughter was still in college, so I sent her back to college. And so for 3 years, I went back and forth between Colorado and Arizona, and was just loving life, doing great. Our kids were figuring it out, our new lifestyle without my husband. And 3 years after my husband passed, my 25-year-old son also took his life. Another test.
That's a big test.
Right? So that's the reason I'm sharing this, I'm trying to keep it together, is I just want you guys to understand that you, every day, are going to be faced with a wall. There's going to be something. Like for me in the beginning of Arbonne, it was the rejection, my friends thinking I was all crazy. I had some friends, even my mother-in-law, wouldn't even buy a stick of lipstick for me, right? That's big rejection when you're starting a new business, but I soon learned, hey, that's not a big deal. Wait till a year and a half later, your whole team quits. And by the way, I didn't say this, the woman who introduced me to Arbonne that said, hey, you're coming to my house next Wednesday, right? A year into me doing Arbonne, she was my best friend from high school. She died suddenly, right? So there was that. And then all of the team coming in, team going out, up and down with the company, all the things. And every one of them was a test. Are you gonna stand along this wall? This is I want you guys to get this visual. This is what's keeping you stuck right now, is you've got a wall right here. Can you feel it? Right? And you're just pacing up and down the wall, right? And the only reason you're still pacing is because your vision is not big enough, right? You've got to have something, you guys, that you want, like air to breathe. So every day that I got tested, this is kind of a funny story. You guys know the movie, the first one, Top Gun? Yeah. The first one? Yeah. I can pretty much recite it. But there's this, so I used to have a big whiteboard in my office when I was doing Arbonne. It used to have all my goals on it. And my kids would always see what my activity was and what I was doing. And there was a day where I was really ready to quit, like so done. And I started telling my kids, I don't know, guys, I just don't know. I've just put my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I'm not quite sure if this is what I really want to keep doing, all the things. And one day I came in on that day later, and my son had written across the top. Now let me go back to the movie. There's a scene in the movie where they do a flyby. They buzz the tower. And what happens is they get in big trouble for that. And they go in and get chewed out for doing that. And as they get yelled and chewed out, they walk out, and Goose says to Maverick, hey, dude, I think we need to go to that truck driving school. Do you still have the number for truck driving school? I think we need to go to truck driving school. And so I used to joke about that on the days that I wanted to quit. And that day, I came in my office, and my son had written across the top, www.truckdrivingschool.com. And he was serious. I was laughing. He goes, Mom, it's a real thing. Look it up. I'm like, you are so funny, buddy. That's all I needed. And you know what? Here's the deal, you guys. One of the reasons I never quit was because I knew my kids were watching me. If I quit, and if I didn't follow my vision, I was basically telling two soon-to-be young adults that on the days it got hard, they could quit too, right? So I promise you this, you guys, the key to anything you're trying to get through right now is that you have to have a vision that is so big and so urgent that no matter what you're dealing with that day, you get up and you still go do what you're supposed to do. My mission just got 10x'd, right? Now I'm on a mission to not only keep working with entrepreneurs, but I'm really, really focused on young adults right now. I don't know if you guys know this, but they're super struggling. If you have young adults, you know that. All right, so you got the lessons, right? Non-negotiable, has to be in writing, targets, and most of all, when you have a vision, it's gonna pull you through just about every adversity you're gonna go through, you guys. And you're gonna know why you had that vision. All right, so how do you write a vision? This is how I've taught many people to do it. It's super simple, but it's very powerful. I want you to date the top of a piece of paper 3 years from today. So what's the date? What would the date be?
222.
22224.
27. 3 years from now, 27, right? Sorry, my throat is so dry. All right. Okay. All right. After the date, how old will you be on that day? I always hear that, especially from the women in the room. Oh my God. Okay. After how old you will be, how old will your kids be? If you have kids, grandkids, family members, all family members, how old will they be in 3 years? So why do you think I ask you that? To put the date 3 years out and how old you will be?
Set goals.
Set goals. What else? Perspective. Yes, you can see it, right? Changes things. Commitment, sense of urgency.
Paint the vision.
Get the vision. Yeah. What else? Uh-huh.
Things change.
Yeah, I think you want us to date so that we'll know, be committed to that. And also, I think you put the age in there so we'll know just how old are we going to be.
Right.
And how much little time we have left to live
That's so right.
the life.
So depending on how old you are, right, you see it in different ways. When I started doing this, remember, go back to my story. I started Arbonne when I was pregnant with my daughter, and my son was 2. I was projecting 3 years out, getting ready for them to go into the private school we wanted to put them in. You guys, you can't stop time and you can't stop aging. And most people, because they don't look further out enough, every day they're doing busy stuff, right? I said this once at an entrepreneurial luncheon and it just hit everybody so hard, I say it a lot. Most of the entrepreneurs I meet are running really expensive hobbies and they're busy and broke. They can show me a really packed calendar of all this super cool stuff they're doing, but it's not moving the needle forward, right? So when we have that problem, it's super easy to get discouraged. We want to quit, all the things. Little dance music going. All right, so here's what I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes to do this and rapid fire because I don't have a lot of time with you. But is everybody in the headspace with me now? Yeah. 3 years out. Okay, I want you to think about every area of your life. Don't get tripped up with this, your family life, your faith life, fitness and health, your finances, your career, all right? And I want you to put yourself in this day 3 years from now. And in 3 minutes, I want you to write out everything you see happening for you as if it's that day. Okay, has everybody got the exercise? You understand? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, go ahead and go. Okay. 90 seconds. Okay, 1 more minute.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Not my first rodeo. I wish I had all day. Okay, pens down. All right, talk to me. How you feeling?
Great.
Good. How are you feeling? Why great?
Feels good to write it down. Feels good to write it down and just.
Yep.
You feel it more when you write it down.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Gives you some hope. You're getting excited again. You're going committed. Yes.
It's wonderful to have the vision, to visualize it, and feel it.
Yes. Yeah, you can feel it, right? When I do longer workshops, I actually give people about 45 minutes to go in great detail, right? To literally write a letter Like, envision that we left today and you guys 3 years passed and we haven't talked. And you decided, I'm 3 years out, to sit down and write me a letter catching me up on what's happened. Like we used to do in the old days. What's your family life? Where are you living? How's your business? Where have you been? All the things in great detail. Because this is what we've been talking about. It's manifesting, right? But what most people do when I ask them to do this workshop is they leave stuff out because they don't see the how. They don't see how it's possible with where they're at in their life right now. Is anybody feeling that? Like they're thinking, wow, this is like way out there and I'm still here. Okay, I tell people, don't worry about it, dream big, okay? The other thing is that they get really wishy-washy with their words. Well, I'm hoping that happens, I'm trying, we'll see. We have to be really affirming. I have, I've done, I will, I am. Be really careful. So, writing it out, and this is kind of crazy what happens. When my clients take this seriously, like Andrea did when we first met, things start happening. Right? Like where Andrea was a year ago when we met. I said to her this morning, I said, did you even imagine that we'd be here on this thing together and you would be on this stage? She was so not even in the speaker world at all. This was her first time ever on stage today. Wow. Right? Yeah. But it's because she came to me and said, I had her right. I want to know in detail. Tell me, 3 years from now, what does your life look like? Give me the bigger picture so that we can flesh it out. And so what happens now is that you can take that 3-year vision and you can reverse engineer your goals. 1-year goals, 6-month goals, 90-day goals, right? Most people goal set, but they don't have it attached to anything bigger. So when the goal doesn't happen, guess what happens? Nothing. We shove it off, right? The last lesson I want to teach you is that when you have a really clear vision, it's going to help you make better decisions with your time than who you spend it with. Every day, I get presented a lot of opportunities to go speak, talk, whatever. And for me, because I'm really clear on my vision where I'm going, it's either a yes or a no really clearly. And a lot of times, you guys, it's no. And unfortunately, people put a lot of say yes to things they should not. The vision will help you stay lined up. How many of you guys would like to be a lot more intentional with your time and moving the needle forward? Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I have some gifts for you. Okay, the first gift is that I have my Vision is Victory. It's a workbook, actually, where you can go through it and write your vision. And I'm going to give it to you now so you can text it and download it so you can work through it. So you guys ready? Okay, so text the word victory, all in caps, to 26786. The word victory to 26786. And that'll give you my book so that you can use it as a tool. And the second thing I did is I opened up my calendar for the beginning of the next week to do complimentary vision calls with people who have actually written some of their vision out so that you can talk to me about it. If that interests any of you, then we'll talk about it later. But last thing, my favorite quote, Mark Twain, 2 most important days are the day you are born and the day you know why. And I hope this helped you figure that out today. So thank you guys.